Many people would have argued that Britain's involvement in World War I against Germany actually shaped how the war played out in its 4-year span, and in some ways it did. Britain, France, and America ended up winning the war against Germany. Germany would then be forced to pay war reparations, causing the country to go into economic decline, leading to a crazy racist man with a silly moustache to take over and start World War II, invading half of Europe but still losing the war at the hands of the UK, the USA, and the USSR, however still causing the British Empire to slowly decline in the aftermath, building the world we know and live in today. But what if that was different? What if, in an alternate timeline, Britain never got involved in World War I and stayed neutral? We're just going to assume that for this to happen, the British government decides that Germany invading Belgium to get into France is not that big of a deal and never gets involved. First of all, with Britain not getting involved, there would be no need for Germany to sink the British ship the Lusitania, thus preventing the US from entering the war either, leaving France and Russia to fend for themselves against Austro-Hungary, Germany, and the Ottoman Empire. And without Britain and the USA at their side, both France and Russia would be destroyed. In France, there would have been no need for trench warfare. With Britain not at France's side, the Germans would have pushed through Belgium and into France and would have threatened the French capital, causing France to immediately surrender by 1915. And in Russia, the Austro-Hungarians, the Ottomans, and the Germans would have pushed into Russian territory, causing it to surrender by 1917. In this alternate timeline, World War I would have ended in 1917 with a Central Powers victory due to Britain and the USA minding their own business. As a result of losing the war, France would have gone into economic decline during the 1920s. Meanwhile, in Britain, without the British spending time, money, resources, and people to the Great War, they would have seen a golden age in both the economy and their industry, just like America. Throughout the 1920s, excluding the Great Depression, Britain and the German Empire would have both stayed major superpowers. In Germany, there would have also been no need for Hitler to rise to power. This could either go in two ways. Either there'd be a French version of Hitler and France would turn fascist for revenge against Germany, or the Soviet Union would have invaded Germany or Austria-Hungary sometime in the 1930s for revenge in the Great War. I'm going to choose the latter since I don't want things to just be a mirror image of World War II. However, with Germany winning the war in World War I, thus meaning that they would have had a far more superior army to the Soviet Union, it's likely that the Germans would have been able to push the Soviets back to their home territory, leaving them going back and forth throughout the war. In this alternate timeline, with the Soviet Union starting World War II, there would have been no need for Britain to join in the Second Great War, just like they didn't join in the first one. In this alternate version of World War II, unlike they didn't in the First Great War, the US would have still joined in, but only against Japan, since Pearl Harbor would have still happened. With the US's involvement in World War II, this would have not affected the US's making of the atomic bomb for usage against Japan. However, the German Empire, with their technology, might have also created their own atomic bomb for usage against the Soviet Union. The US would have nuked Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and the German Empire would have nuked Leningrad, and both Japan and the Soviet Union would surrender. In the aftermath of the war, there would have also likely been a Cold War between the United States and the German Empire. Meanwhile, with Britain not getting involved in any of the world wars, it's likely that the British Empire would survive to this day, since World War I and World War II were one of the main reasons why the British Empire went into decline. So in conclusion, if Britain had stayed out of World War I, France and Russia would be crushed by Germany, the Soviet Union would have started World War II, and the British Empire would have still existed. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and also tell us in the comments what you think the next alternate history scenario should be. See you!